The United States, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu continuing his trip. Today, he's slated to meet Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump. On Thursday, a day after he gave a fiery speech to the U.S. Congress vowing total victory against Hamas, Netanyahu met Vice President Kamala Harris. She's expected to be the Democratic nominee for November's election. Harris told him it was time for the war in Gaza to end. Take a listen.
There has been hopeful movement in the talks to secure an agreement on this deal. And as I just told Prime Minister Netanyahu, it is time to get this deal done. So to everyone who has been calling for a ceasefire, and to everyone who yearns for peace, I see you and I hear you. I remain committed to a path forward that can lead to a two-state solution. And I know right now it is hard to conceive of that prospect, but a two-state solution is the only path that ensures Israel remains a secure Jewish and democratic state, and one that ensures Palestinians can finally realize the freedom, security, and prosperity that they rightly deserve.
Well, joining me on the set is our international affairs editor, Angela Diffley. Hello to you, Angela. Are we seeing Kamala Harris strike a firmer tone than President Joe Biden?
Slightly firmer tone, perhaps, on Israel. This has been her policy all the way through. Back in December, she, at White House meetings, said that there should be more public expression of understanding of the plight of the Palestinians. Nevertheless, these are nuances in tone. She has affirmed very clearly Israel's right to defend itself, although she also said how it defends itself matters. And she said, I will not remain silent. But these are very, very small nuances in attitude and tone. She has to, of course, keep a big eye on her left flank, because many would-be Democrat voters on the left and the far left of the party were pretty angry with what they saw as Joe Biden's too pro-Israel stance. So she's keen to keep them on board. Beyond that, there's no real interest for Kamala Harris in going much further on this question. Who knows what it might look like should she win the election and take office in January. And while she is campaigning, I think as vice president, she doesn't really fashion foreign policy that much. I think she's very happy to leave it to Joe Biden. And Joe Biden is extremely glad to try to pursue a ceasefire as part of his legacy. He has always been extremely interested in this part of the world and a staunch supporter of Israel. He will be trying to push forward that ceasefire. And there are signs that it is edging closer. Hamas has now dropped its demands for a permanent ceasefire in any deal on an exchange of hostages and prisoners. Joe Biden will be throwing a lot at this to try to push it forward, but Netanyahu, of course, might have other reasons not to want it to happen so far.
And come January, it could be a very different administration in place if Donald Trump wins the election. Now, Netanyahu slated to meet him today in Mar-a-Lago. What should we expect?
Well, if you cast your mind back, of course, to Trump's period in office between 2016 and 2020, he made some major differences. He moved the U.S. embassy to Jerusalem, which was widely applauded in Israel. And he was the architect of what are now known as the Abraham Accords. That is this idea of normalizing ties with Israel among some key Arab countries, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Morocco, Sudan. And that was a key advance as far as the Israelis were concerned. It should be noted that those accords were stymied because of the Israeli-Palestinian question. And some people might remember the efforts of Jared Kushner to give the peace plan of all peace plans, which arrived dead in the water and moved nothing on in the Middle East between the Israelis and the Palestinians. And ultimately, that has stopped these Abraham Accords going any further. The Saudi Arabians, who were the big prize in the Accords, have made very clear that unless there is progress towards a two-state solution, real concrete progress, they have no intention of signing anything. So that is something of what Trump did in his first period in office, and a background against which to judge these talks today. Very noteworthy is the fact that on Fox News recently, Donald Trump said that this war should be ended quickly. You know, Trump is not a details man. He likes big, broad, quick solutions. And it's clear he will quickly tire of the intractable issues in the Middle East. How Netanyahu plays that, I don't know. The two men had a good relationship and they've had a bit of a spat. Trump was very angry that Netanyahu recognized the election of Joe Biden and congratulated him. And equally, Trump hit back by saying it was in some way Netanyahu's fault that October the 7th happened. He didn't guarantee his people's security. But they've moved on from that now. It's important they get this relationship right in case in January, from Netanyahu's point of view, Trump is elected.